All right, welcome back. This is episode 9 of the podcast of us. I'm here today with a very special guest and host number 1, Stephen Rose. I'm Tanner Cherry. I worked on the show for a year with my buddy Sterling here. Really happy to have him on. Actually, I'm stoked that we're having you on to talk about the series in whole, because I'm sitting here with 2 of the most passionate and connected people to this series that I've ever met. So I think that this is going to be an awesome episode. We're going to talk about how they did or did not stick the landing on the adaptation of The Last of Us. Yeah.
I don't even feel like I need to introduce myself after that. I feel like you kind of you took a helicopter in a video game, and we all know what happens with that. That thing gets shot down every time, 100% of the time. So that is exactly that's so similar in ways to how I feel I am going to come after this episode. It's going to be a helicopter boss in a video game. I'm shooting it down. I'm gunning for it. It opened up and I was mad. And it opened up
and I was mad. Oh, okay.
The first scene, dude. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the beginning. So we get our lovely.
Well, hold on. Let's get our introduction. Let's get our introductions from Sterling.
Are we not skipping? Oh, sorry, I'm loaded here, buddy. All right, my hot gun right now. Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure.
He's just hang time.
Hilarious.
Sterling, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'll go for it. My name's Sterling. I also worked on The Last of Us as a scenic carpenter for roughly 7 episodes, I want to say, before I had to, unfortunately I had to step away to deal with some life stuff.
Yeah.
And came back, thought I was going to stay, and immediately, got a call that I had to leave. And that's the way it went down. So unfortunate, it's a little sad, but also it was necessary in that moment. I'm also a huge fan of the game. I've got, 250 hours of playtime on the first game, and I just checked, and I'm closing in on 1,000 for part 2.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It is a longer game, to be fair.
It is a longer game, yeah.
Yeah.
That's mostly because I've been trying to get permadeath whole game on grounded mode. So that's been a long training process.
Yeah, you were working on that how long ago? When you were doing...
I started training for that back in August of 2021. August of 2021.
Yeah. When it came out ish?
Basically 6 months after it came out, I started, not making attempts, but started learning strategies and all of that stuff. Yeah.
The certified speedrunner, basically, over here, right?
Definitely certified.
No. I'm
not that level.
I pale in comparison to some of the guys out there and girls.
There's 5 people on Earth who are that good at anything at any given moment. It's hard to be one of those people, I hold the 7-second record of Halo 2. You're like, wow, well, okay.
Well, it's difficult.
Keep that.
It's difficult to keep up with 16-year-olds in Adderall, speed running.
I can take as many Adderalls as I want. I'll just die. It's not fair. You're young. You still your heart hasn't had a chance to blow up yet. This isn't even fair.
I'd also like to note that, Sterling, you are located not in Alberta. You're from the Toronto Union, and am I correct that you specifically chased this production, sought it out because of your passion for it?
Yeah, really quickly, I was working on The Expanse season 6. I found out that they were doing. They were going to film it in Calgary. When they announced that it was being filmed in Calgary, that's when I kind of was that's within range. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It it was okay. I'm a member of this union. I've heard of people, taking advantage of the, sister union,
Sister status.
Don't take advantage of your sister,
status,
everybody.
rather.
Yeah.
So and I didn't really know anything about it, but I was like, okay, well, I have to at least try and look into this and see what's involved, see what I need to do. So I reached out. I think I sent an email, or maybe I called them, and like the Calgary local, and pretty much within a week, I had a login to local 212. It was pretty crazy because at that point, once I had a login and I was able to make myself available for work in Calgary, I was kind of at that point of like, oh shit, now I actually have to make this happen. Now I have to actually figure out life, how to drop everything in my life here.
It's like a hell yeah into a, oh damn, wait.
yeah, totally. And then also just the hurdle of, okay, I can work in Calgary. That doesn't mean I get on this show necessarily, how do I do that? And so I was, still working on the Expanse, and had told a couple people, and word travels fast in the union. So next thing I know, my boss is like, hey, I hear blah blah blah. You wanting to move to Calgary, work on what's all this? And so I told him, and he was like, oh, I think the production manager who used to be on this show is moving to Calgary right now to go work on that show. Let me give you his email or whatever. And then within a week or two of that, I had an email chain with, I'm forgetting his name right now, coordinator.
Dino?
I was in an email chain with Dino and the PM, and they're basically like, yeah, if you know anybody else out there who wants to come, please tell them to come, because we need all the help we can get. And so, yeah,
tell them to come and also join the show.
Yeah.
Well, so that they were hungry for people like you, right? Because the Alberta Union did not have sufficient talent at the time.
What do you mean? A bunch of oil boys? Oil boys ain't got movies credits? What do you mean?
I wasn't gonna say it.
Not even in quality, but quantity alone. There's so many bodies needed to be hired.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So you ended up.
It's also crazy how many paint departments it went through.
Yeah, right.
I mean, considering that.
Oh man. Yeah, that was wild.
Oh god.
So
the first group was just a bunch of guys with paintball guns. They're like, we misunderstood completely what you were asking of us. Is that okay? They're like, no, it's not. It's actually not.
So what are your thoughts on the series thus far, or should we talk about the episode first and then get into the overview after?
We can do a retrospect. I honestly think we should do a full retrospective episode.
Yeah.
But because there's a lot of ground to cover, because my feelings have changed from the beginning to the end. Within these last couple episodes, I think it shifted very fast, and I know that gamers are pretty reactive and we're maybe a little sensitive or whatever, right?
No.
But no. Yeah, exactly. No way, right? But I think that's kind of something we're gonna run into. So it's kind of hard to cover that all. Maybe we'll see where we go with this. I think we should start with the episode, just for the sake of this being called episode 9. The Giraffes of Us, by the way, a pun created by me. I've been waiting this entire series to make that pun, so here we are.
It was, what do we think? It was so hard watching Steve just be like, I hope there's a giraffe. If they don't do the giraffe, man, I'm going to be so pissed. And for the most part, I just had to keep my mouth shut. But
I saw someone on the comment section saying there's a CGI giraffe. Just being like, oh, I saw there's all these beautiful moments with a CGI giraffe. And I was like, bitch, that's a real giraffe.
Oh,
that is for sure a real giraffe. I don't know how bad our eyes have gotten. Yeah, exactly. See, there you go. There proofs in the pudding, dude. That's a real ass giraffe.
there was some CGI
treatment
in the mix there just to like pull off the scene, but yeah, it was a real giraffe.
Those extra giraffes, but you know, the main cast was real, right?
Oh man.
Yeah, well, yeah. Clearly, there's a lot of blue screen here, so I'm gonna say,
shout out Nabo.
Yeah, the blue screen was a fucking. I didn't actually go there. That was like Sean and some other guys. They were like spearheading that one, right? They had to add like a little piece of that blue screen every day, not the whole thing. They had to like add a little bit a day so that they didn't scare the giraffes. Like over the course of weeks.
Wow.
They had to gradually build this like enclosure for these and not scare them.
Wait, Sean, like our Sean, like our baby Sean?
Yeah, baby Sean.
Baby Sean.
Shout out to Sean.
Shout out baby Sean.
Baby Sean. Okay, all right. I'll look for him on Spotify.
I think we called him that because he was just kind of like one of the younger guys on the crew. But
fair enough.
He's just like the sweetest guy. Oh man,
yeah,
I love that kid.
Yeah, he's a SoundCloud rapper now, so thanks a lot, guys. I want to know. I need to know. What do you think of that opening scene, guys? What do we think?
Okay, so we're talking about the
episode 9. The goddamn opening scene.
We're talking about Ellie's mother being chased into the farmhouse.
Yes.
Yeah. Also cast and played by Ellie's voice actor, Ashley Johnson.
Which I was immediately just from the grunts alone. I didn't know that's who was coming, but the little weird noises she's making, I was like, I know exactly who that is. You know, I've heard that 500 million times. So I was excited for a moment, and then I kind of realized she's pregnant, and then I was like, oh no.
So this was not explained in the game, right?
This is a bit of this is well, no, this isn't a bit. This is a deviation. I'm quite confident. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sterling, but I don't think they ever talk about the pregnancy bit while pregnant transferring thing, because this ruins everything. I think this actually, you can just create another kid to be a cure now. And
but nobody knows that.
But Marlene knows that. Marlene's who's doing this. They ruin everything in that one scene.
He's already so mad.
It so you can reproduce a cure through. It could be any other kid. Oh, you think I have any other choice? But yeah, literally you do. You literally saw how it happened. You literally know how it happened. That's all you have to do is make another one. You got a facility. You got loyal members. You're a goof. You're a goober. What are you doing? So I was mad about that. I thought like everything was so well acted, like it was cool, it was carried out well, but it does impact everything. The decision. It's no longer like, yeah, that's kind of like there's no other option. You know, that's kind of how the game leaves it, and you know, it's I don't know. What do you guys think?
So you're mad that there's a mystery that has been explained, and you don't like the explanation?
Well, I don't. It's not only that it's a mystery that's been explained; it's that it's now in lore. Like the character knows it too. You know, literally knows kind of how it happened. They kind of try to dance around it by saying, "Oh, I cut the umbilical cord before I was bitten," and this and that, right? But so that maybe Marlene would have incorrect information because she didn't. That's not true. That was cut like just in time, I think, right? Maybe it got like part of it mutated or something in Ellie or whatever. But I just think that was such a hard. It was a goof because it was an unnecessary addition. It does add on to Marlene and her mother's like story, which the game says exists and doesn't really elaborate on really much. They just kind of state that they knew each other and they're friends or whatever. But
yeah,
you know,
it's What are your thoughts?
The first of all, I loved that part of the episode mostly because of the moment that Ellie's mom shares with Ellie, where she's holding her and just looking at her and talking to her in like, you know, just that it was Ashley Johnson. It was Ellie holding Ellie and like telling Ellie how much I was done.
Dude, there was one line.
like,
there was one line, like she starts crying or whatever, and she's like, "Yeah, you give her hell, Ellie." Or you give him hell.
That was the line that I liked.
Yeah.
Explains a lot. It explains a lot.
I was in tears. But the I don't know. I didn't feel too mad about like the technicalities there. Like, you know, like from the beginning, I've kind of taken this as less of a I've taken it as a true adaptation. Yes, not less of a replication of the game and more as just like bonus content, a reinterpretation. You know, it's kind of an analog. I think of it as, you know, this is universe A and this is universe B of this world, because that's the only way I can really
stomach it.
Yes.
No. I mean, like, well, the cool thing is that, like, you know, like, there are so many elements of the TV show that they did better than the game.
Yep.
Even though I still feel that the game as a whole it's like there's nothing compares to that. The TV show
more
just fails in comparison.
In totality. Yeah.
But like in terms of you know, the spores, changing spores to tendrils and like all of that stuff, like I kind of just have to swallow. You know, whatever.
That didn't bother me too much, that part, because it's like it makes there's some logistical reasoning for it, so like whatever.
The move to not have your lead actors in masks or whatever for a large portion of the filming, even though, I mean, we're talking about the Mandalorian here, but like
right.
It was. I mean, I can totally understand.
He signed a contract. He's like, no fucking masks, and they're like, oh.
You know what? Actually, this is a slight segue to something that I wanted to bring up. They switched to the tendrils so that they didn't have to have people in masks. But like, I'm starting to wonder.
Never have any infected.
And never have any infected in more than half the episodes.
Yeah, create this new lore about like all these things you may step on that attract hordes, and then have no hordes anywhere for the rest of the show. It's like, we changed this whole thing, and we're never gonna show it again. So we did that just cause we thought it'd be fun.
I did see an article today that it was speaking about, because they've announced The Last of Us season 2. If you haven't heard, guys, they're doing a season 2.
And wow, so surprising.
And also they have somehow, like, so I think even back, Sterling, when we were working on the show, I believe that we were forecasting or predicting that season 2, or sorry, the second game would not be able to fit in a second season, that it would be like season 2 and 3. And I think Neil Druckmann has alluded to that. He says he will not confirm how many seasons, but he did confirm that it won't be all encompassed.
If it's more than 2. Yeah. Lose my mind.
So, but anyway, they were talking about season 2, and they were talking, like in this article, the headline was basically like a promise that there will be more infected in the second season because of, you know, there's been some criticism, and it's interesting. Like I feel like when it comes to like step by step, all the episodes that we watched, the last 5 episodes, each of those episodes in the game, those particular pieces of the story had some sort of interaction with infected during, but it's because you're piloting the character, and there has to be puzzles and there has to be battles. But yeah, in the
which I feel like has been kind of lost though. That like you're saying, the battles is part of the game, is part of the experience. You know, the war-torn nature of the two characters at the final point is that they've murdered their way through a bunch of things. They've killed their way through infected. There's always a stupid blockade of some sort that they have to get through, and that doesn't translate to bad television either. That's entertaining to watch. So it's not like this is an Uncharted TV show or something where it's like, let's watch Nathan Drake walk around in circles looking for some shiny thing on the fucking ground. It's not like that. It's like, let's watch someone do some bullet shooting and, you know, some neck breaking, some face stabbing, like, you know, like that's kind of what I was hoping for. And they really kind of it seemed like they wanted to dodge that. Like Sterling, last episode we discussed sort of that fight when you fight alongside David, or not David. David, right? Yeah. I'm not screwing that up. Okay, sorry. I always mess that up with Nathan for some reason. Christopher Nolan. Yeah. So there's that fight that you have with him, as Ellie that kind of makes him feel like a more trustworthy character. You know, you got the rifle, and he's, you know, there's a big giant infected battle in the sawmill.
She puts down the rifle after they're at the campfire, and the rifle's on the ground.
He pulls out a gun out of nowhere too. Back. Yeah, and when we're about to start fighting these affected, you know, he pulls a gun out, and she's like, "You had a gun this whole time?" He's like, "Well, yeah. Can I have mine back?" She's like, "No, thanks. Like, I'm good." He's like, "Hope you know how to use that thing." And you kind of lose that, and I don't feel like that should have been taken out of the show. I'm like, that's a prime use of the world you're building here, right? Like, if you look into sort of the Vidocs and all this stuff behind The Last of Us, you know, and pre-interviews and all that, like they'll say themselves, like, "Oh, it's not a zombie game," and it's important because at the time when it came out, it wasn't a zombie game. You know what I mean? It wasn't Left 4 Dead, or it wasn't just another generic sort of zombie shooter that we had kind of come to expect. You know,
true, because those games are like very focused on fighting waves. And
Dead Rising, or you know, Dying Light. You know, it's the story is so
Dead Rising. I haven't heard about that in ages.
That game slaps, dude. But that was like a PS3 era, like Xbox 360 kind of game. So
gameplay first, story second, narrative.
Yeah,
second.
so they were really like they were emphasizing, you know, this isn't a zombie game. You know, it's about the people and blah blah blah. But I feel like the show took that a little too fucking literally.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is a zombie show. They're still in it.
Yeah,
like, you know, they should still be here.
Yeah, to Last of Us, to the game's credit though, I mean, Dead Rising didn't get an HBO series. You know, like the story was focused on
Uncovered Wars. You know,
they focused on the story.
That's the only quote.
The story was incredible in the first game and the second game. Like they're being made into, they're being immortalized in film. It's like, I feel like it's a great reverence, like a great honor for a story that was told in a video game like that to be given the attention and the gift of being immortalized in film, because it's a slightly different medium, and it's like, it's cool for, oh man, I love the fact that they gave all of these original voice actors the opportunity to play characters in the series. Even, I don't know if you caught it, but like, I didn't know when I watched it, but I found through an article afterwards that in the end of the episode, the voice actor that plays or that does Abby was in. She was one of the nurses.
Oh.
And like it just, I found that I was so impressed by how they
didn't notice that.
all of the people.
Did they have many lines?
No, I don't
Laura
think.
Bailey?
No.
Like, what did they even say?
I mean, I literally only knew that because I read it.
Yeah,
right.
I believe it's so Joel like shoots the male scientist guy, or doctor.
Yeah.
And then the girl like to the right that he points the gun at next, I guess, is the actor who voiced Abby in the second game. A little shout out.
Which we're not going to spoil.
Shout out Laura Bailey.
But we do. Are we still playing Abby here?
Are we still playing Abby?
just a classic stream meme about that. There, you'll understand one day, kids. Those of you who aren't gamers, anyways. And you know what? So I want to say, like, from this episode, I've been reading articles because I'm trying to both find confirmation for my bias as well as the anti-confirmation to my bias. You know. I'm trying to basically search the opposites and open incognito tabs and VPNs so it doesn't just feed me what I want to see. And I found a bunch of random articles that were like, the end of this episode from someone who's never played the games with some, I don't remember what magazine, some magazine, said that the end of this episode and this season is something that'll stay with them they'll be thinking about for years. And I was like, well, that is the point. That's how all the gamers felt, and that's what makes that game so fucking good, so cool, is that it is something that, you know, you think about and you're still kind of trying to decide if that was cool or not. And, you know, you kind of know it wasn't, but you kind of also, you know, can make some justifications. You know, it's a thing that you toss around. It's like, you know, when you hear someone else has played that game, you're like, what did you think? You immediately want to know, like, morally how they felt about it and whatnot. And so to read some articles where viewers of the show, obviously, you know, in their own box or whatever, they get and I mean, obviously I'm a box removed from you guys, even because I've just played the game. I didn't participate in the creation of the show, right? But I think that those who just watch it as a show, I asked myself, like, was this episode good TV? And I think it is. I think it is a good cool like season finale or whatever. It frustrates me that they make some changes for no perceptible reason, and maybe take a little too many shortcuts on some things that I think.
Well, that's the thing that stood out to me was I knew the minute they started posting what the episode durations were, and for some reason, like the elephant in the room is like nobody's talking about the fact that the finale's only 45 minutes. Why?
43
43 minutes or something. And I was like,
I could have used 2 more minutes, let me tell you.
You know, the thing, like, I worry how much that knowledge affected me with my perception of like enjoying the episode as it went through. Like, I feel like at the end of it, especially, we got to talk about how it just, the cut to credits.
Oh my God, yeah.
And like, I just felt like, wait, like it was just, there was a staleness, like an emptiness to the air or whatever in the room, which is totally different than other episodes where, especially after episode 8. Like how much good discussion just between Callie and I, how much we were back and forth, like, oh my God, like the whirlwind of thought and intrigue and all of that cascaded the minute the credits rolled. And you pause it immediately. I need to talk to you about this. Like, oh my God. And for some reason, like the finale is the worst episode to unexpectedly hit credits when you don't expect the credits to roll.
In their defense, and Sterling, I'm sure you could probably correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I do believe that is exactly how the game ends.
Yeah, see, I understand.
That line for line, it just fucking ends like that. She says that same thing.
Yep.
Okay. And then the screen's up. That's it. So, I think what makes it so lackluster though is that the build up to that moment is shortened in a few ways. There was an action sequence actually in the game portion where there's they're jumping over a bus onto a bus and some sort of underground, I don't know what the heck you call it, a water channel, if you will. And
it was a tunnel. It was just like an underpass.
Yeah, right. And it was kind of this cool moment where Joel's basically just being crushed by the current, and Ellie jumps on, bashes it in, and rescues him. And then doesn't know how to swim, so gets caught up by the current and kind of thrown. They both get thrown out off onto the shore or whatever you want to call it. And she's unconscious or whatever, and he's trying to revive her. And that's where the soldiers come from, right? So
the soldiers,
Firefly soldiers, yeah.
Which. Oh wait,
yeah,
are we talking?
The ones that's.
Oh, I see.
They would be the equivalent.
Them.
I see
how it went down in the game.
So it was kind of like an intense moment, and also another moment of just showing, that they've developed this relationship of just kind of saving each other and being like the best duo in town. And it's a small thing, but it's a kind of a little piece that could have made it to film, and I think would have actually been kind of cool to see. And also, I would like to point out one elephant in the room is, why did they not just put spring at the start of this episode? Why wouldn't they just do that? Because the audience is dumb, all right? I'm going to be honest. Here, listen to me, all right? I'm going to lose all of our fans here. You guys are dumb. So
they didn't even have him put on glasses to show that time had passed.
Exactly, right? Well, that's just it. You didn't... I, as a gamer, I know exactly that it's winter, spring. The game goes through seasons. That's kind of how it goes, right? And then they always flash the thing on the screen, right? That before winter, they should have showed winter. I know, but you see snow. Okay, you could probably put together it's winter. Spring, people kind of forgot probably. Maybe they just thought they walked far enough that there was no snow at that place. We have to assume the audience is dumb. So I've read in comments already that they're just oh, their relationship feels rushed and blah blah blah. And it's there's a time jump after that event, right?
Oh yeah, okay. I see what you mean. During the episode, they don't really communicate that there has been a lasting. And are we talking after the Fireflies? There's a time jump.
No. Between David and.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Still, it's the same effect.
Yeah, they've been on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a month or something.
Right.
It's been a good chunk of time. The weather's different. They're outside strutting around. It's no longer the winter time. So they have they're now talking about Sarah and this and that, and that kind of seems like it's out of the blue. You're just what? When did you start talking about that? And it makes more sense with the knowledge that time has passed and the events that they've just been through, where
Right.
you know they've trauma bonded, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, trauma bonded.
It would have taken them like 1% effort to just throw spring in the middle of the screen and then carry on. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting watching every episode. There's little things like that they withhold, and on the one hand it's frustrating, and on the other hand I'm like, is this just enough of confusion to instill in a viewer that would make them play the game? Like,
oh, interesting. The long con.
March 28th, everybody.
Yeah, right. PS5.
Get your PCs ready. Get your PCs ready. Yeah. The NVIDIA recommended, or no, sorry, the game recommended specs just got released like after the last episode, actually. So it's funny you'd say that. They're like, yeah, there's the minimum graphics card you need to run this game.
Oh.
Yeah, no joke. That just came out like a couple days ago. So they're really just like, yeah, we're hoping those PC. Let's get those sales numbers back up, boys and girls. Come on.
Oh man,
fucking Neil.
Never thought about that. That's fucking brilliant. Well, Neil Druckmann's also said he's deconfirmed that they won't make a Last of Us 3. Because he said that we're never making The Last of Us 3.
Deconfirmed is a wonderful way.
He's like, right? He's like, we might. He's like, we might. I'm not. We're not working on it right now.
Well, actually, okay, Sterling, what's your thoughts on that? Are you in the camp of seal the story where it is, or would you be open to Neil making another?
I don't think they needed to make a second one.
Absolutely want more. I want like Abby and Lev or something like that. Yeah. That's what I want. Yeah.
I wonder if gamers would tolerate that. I hate them so much. They're such, you know what? It's probably a small minority. You know, it's like anything. It's like reviews. It is.
Well, they've
reviews
also
in like a restaurant.
They've also got a 20-year chunk of time to work with as well before the first game. They could easily go back and draw on some prequel story.
The First of Us, bro.
The First of Us. Oh,
I just make it Outbreak Day. I want to live through that. You know, I don't care. Give me like 20 playable characters that just cycles through them all, and they make me cry 40 times, and then end the game. I don't know. Who cares?
God, actually,
everyone dies.
You said Outbreak Day. That brings up a wonderful memory that I have of Sterling at work. When I came into work and you were walking around, you're like, does nobody know what day it is? And you're like walking around. It reminded me of the dude from Freaks and Geeks or whatever, when he's just talking about like the drummer that died. And it's like, dude, that was 6 years ago. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm still sad. But yeah, you were walking around. He's like, does no one know what day it is? It's like, this is the Outbreak Day, man.
There was. I want to give a little credit to the.
What is this? What is this?
Go.
Oh my
God! Poster.
That is beautiful.
Some suspicious hand with some sort of tattoo and a knife. Who could that belong to? If only the TV viewing audience knew. Hopefully they do that. I'll be like, that's a small thing, but I'll be pissed. There's no tattoo. I'll be legit pissed. I don't know if you're gonna paint it on there every time.
So yeah, that's another big question mark about season 2 is age gap. And
I don't know how to do it.
Recasting question mark.
I did see.
They won't.
No,
they confirmed that they won't do it.
Yeah, I did see an article in my feed today where they said that Bella Ramsey will be returning,
which is like good for like the acting quality and whatnot. Like I think she's a wonderful actress, but the age. What is she in the sequel? Like 19 or something? Like 8,
which is what she is in real life somehow.
Yeah, but doesn't look that whatsoever. I suppose makeup can make you look older.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they can do it with makeup.
They can Tom Cruise it a little bit to make her look taller as well. You know, Tom Cruise never looked short, until I saw him in the awards ceremony. I realized he's like 5'4" or whatever, right? Sorry, Tom Cruise. That was a low blow. I'm sure you're taller than 5'4".
No, he's like 4'3".
Yeah. Oh, that's much better. Yeah.
Speaking of cast of the second game, Sterling, did you catch?
Yeah.
Did you catch the potential little what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little tease. They like a brief tease of Dina.
Tidbit?
A tidbit.
The tea?
A brief tease.
Did you catch the tea?
It was in episode 7. No, it was in 8. No, 6. It was the one where they find Tommy.
Hey, wait.
Sorry, what am
There,
the tease from
I think it was
episode
Dina.
6?
Yeah, there
Dina,
was a
episode
brief.
6.
There was a brief Dina. As
It was
suggested.
a creepy chick looking behind a pillar.
Yeah, when
And
Ellie,
she's like, "What are you looking at?" or whatever.
when Joel and Ellie are sitting at the table talking to Tommy and
The line goes
Maria.
after that. He says, like, kids from around here don't talk like you. She's like, well, maybe I should teach them some things. That's the lines that follow.
Yeah, there's
But
a girl,
like a girl
off to
kind
the
of creeping
side.
behind a pillar.
Shit.
Yeah,
That was the only episode that I didn't rewatch 3 times.
Now, when you go back and rewatch it, check it out because this interaction apparently was suggested, I think, in the second game as like Dina describes the first time that she saw Ellie, and it's apparently this scene was like acted out to be sort of like to fill in that canon gap, and so now
would be Jackson.
Yeah, and we
Cool.
also have then our actor that will be playing Dina. And yeah, because on the IMDb credit it just says
And the likeness is pretty good
it's
too.
credited
so
as Staring Girl. But here, actually, I'll go pick it up and pull it on screen here so that our viewers can
credited
watch.
as Staring Girl. Imagine just loses the part and put that in your portfolio. You don't remember me? Staring Girl. Come on.
Yeah, come on, I'm the Staring Girl.
I want to be in the next Judd Apatow film, please. The Staring Girl. I'll stare at whoever you need.
Yeah, so the episode's called Kin. Let's go down to
Kiln.
where is it? Here we
My
go.
partner kept reading the episode title as Kiln.
Kiln. Really? Okay, so I'll flip over
Get
here.
in the kiln.
Paulina Van
Get out of the
Cleef,
kiln.
right, is the actor that was in that
yeah.
scene. Very
Right.
much a plant.
No, that's a human being, actually. I think we need to have a talk about vegetation versus humans.
What?
That's a plant. That's clearly a person.
Oh my god. Okay, I just completely that joke was right over my head.
That's okay because it's fucking stupid.
Jesus. Okay, we'll switch back. Where were we? Where were we?
Who cares? No, okay. So yeah, we like the opening scene. That's good. That's great. I mean, you know, Marlene's hard. Marlene goes hard.
Yeah, Marlene definitely
we're
goes
gonna-
hard.
Just bang. You know, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I
Also
took her knife.
did not cover her ears.
Yeah,
No.
right.
To cover the baby's
She's
ears.
like,
I was thinking.
cover her ears, walks in, bang, comes back, baby's bawling. He definitely did not cover her ears at all. I'm like,
Well, I was feeling bad for the guy who covered didn't cover his own ears or wasn't supposed to. I was like, ouch.
Yeah.
That guy's ears are gonna hurt. And I mean, you know, when you're firing the gun, probably your ears hurt a lot too, especially in a fucking small room like that. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was she gives her the knife or takes her knife. And then, like, starts walking out of the room. And I'm just like, dude, that's so cold.
Yeah.
You took her only weapon. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, you walked
You're a
in on her
horrible
just about to
person.
like do the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
you're like, yeah.
No, don't. Just become horribly infected and suffer forever. That's what I thought she was going to do. I was like, wow, Marlene sucks. And then she gets the gun and just goes, kablam. I don't know, she didn't even, like, look up.
It took some convincing.
Yeah, well, it's kind of cool.
So that scene, I think, kind of made sense. The way that she said, "I can't kill you,"
Yeah.
or "I'm not going to kill you," whatever she said, and walked out, because, like, in that moment, baby's there, like like having that moment where she's got to face her, and they're, it's like this person, my best friend, who I've known my entire life, is asking me to kill her. Like, the next move is not pull out your gun and kill her.
Right. This isn't
It's
the
like,
impulse buy.
I need to fucking, like, go in the next room, turn off for a second, take a deep breath, and, like, understand the situation, and then I just need to go in. I got to not think about it at all. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to shoot it. This is the plan. Okay, I'm doing it. Done.
And the acting carried that notion as well.
Dude, that's what I was going to bring up right away.
She walked, just turbo walked in, did like kind of had her head looking down.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of.
I was going to bring up Ashley Johnson. Like, holy crap, smashed that character out of the park.
Oh
Exceptional performance.
So talented.
Exceptional.
So talented.
I was.
Same with Troy Baker, dude. They both are just like
totally.
I hate to say it, but they're both like too good for TVs or something. Like I don't know what it is. Every scene there, and I'm like so compelled. And it's obviously there's some bias there, but like, I was like the whole time. Even though I didn't hate it. Okay, let me recontextualize. I didn't hate it. I disliked the existence of that scene. I was very happy to have some participation from the cast of the game. You know what I mean? It was every time someone showed up, you know, like Tommy's voice actor being the
Perry
bootstrap guy, Perry, whatever.
Tommy too.
Tommy 2, yeah, exact. Tommy 2, yeah. Joel 1, yeah. We've renamed a lot of characters here. Yeah, I think I liked all their returns because I recognize their voices the moment they pop up, and I think that shows that I've either played this game too much or that they had very impactful performances.
One of my favorite things was watching Callie, because I only made this connection maybe a few months ago, but I watched Callie make the connection right away, where she was just like, "Wait, Ashley Johnson is Ellie?" Like she made that connection because Callie knows Ashley Johnson from the Critical Role. Because she's Ashley Johnson's Critical Role's like the D&D. It's actually like Twitch's like largest earning channel. They're a house. They're like #1 on Twitch's leaderboard.
It's so hilarious watching her on that. She's such a dork. She's such a fucking dork. It's hilarious. She's such an awkward little dork, and like then you see her do that on television. Like,
yeah, I know. Holy. Yeah, it was like my feelings after that scene. Like, I'm surprised to have jumped onto this cast and then hear how pissed you were, Steven, at this particular scene, because I think that was my favorite part of the episode.
It was the implication, not the scene itself. It was the overarching implication as to the story and what. I wasn't locked in on how much I hated it until the end of the episode, which then I'm like, okay,
pedaling.
Yeah, right. Well, in which case I feel like they doubled down on things I didn't like. And then I'm like, okay, you know, like someone says something offhand and you're like, that rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know this person that well. We're just going to let that slide. And then, you know, they say a couple more things you really don't like. And I'm just like, I'm not sure I like you right now.
I just pictured you pacing, like getting up, just steaming and pacing, and the temperature in the room like going up 3 degrees.
There is moments where I yelled boo. At the screen. Mm-hmm. I did boo the TV a few times during this episode. But I didn't cry at the giraffe.
You're right.
Yeah, right. As I know, I am the angry gamer now. I represent you guys out there who I've made fun of mostly this entire time. So I am become gamer, destroyer of happiness, like insatiable. Sorry, yeah. So that I liked
insatiable.
Right. If I like the story so much, I should just play the fucking game again, I guess. But I liked, and I will actually, March 28th. I can't wait. PC, twitch.tv/Seductro. March 28th, I'll have it. I'll play it, and you can watch me. And I don't know. I'll take my shirt off, whatever. Throw money at me, please. Help. I'm being held hostage.
Great. This whole monologue, just like with the backdrop of the light show.
Yeah, you should pop in on his stream. It's unfiltered humanity.
That's the first time I ever spoke to Sterling. Was in your
when we were playing The Last of Us.
Yeah, when you were playing The Last of Us, and you're fighting the bloater in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we were throwing out strats and had to beat him. Yeah, so we had previously chatted before.
God, that was so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I could feel it. I want you to know how that felt from my perspective, because I'm sitting here being like, I'm trying, but I'm disappointing him.
Yeah. Oh man,
It was funny because even Callie was like, "Don't do that, do this," and she was like, "I'm like, listen to Callie."
Yeah, I was there for it though. I was like, I want to see this play out. Like, you're gonna get it eventually. You know, it's. I'm lucky I didn't have to watch the Coliseum part, which I always call it the Coliseum. Gamers probably have their own name for it, but it's when you first fight the infected in the like tilted towers, if you will. If I want to Fortnite about it.
Oh yeah, I had a hard time with that one.
The tower that fell over, and you fight your first room with like 2 or 3 clickers and a bunch of runners, and it's like the first time they leave you alone as Joel without someone next to you with unlimited ammo. And you just have to figure out how to beat them, and like you have to slam your head against it 40 times in a row till your brain is like, no, I have to. The game's like, no, you play this way or you don't play.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure that out with Sterling in chat with a 14-second delay, right? So every time I'm getting input from the chat, I'm like confused as to which part he's talking about.
Once you know, though, once you get the loot,
and then the stick.
Yeah.
Yes, the brick and bash, dude. It's everything. That's
actually,
the whole game.
I need to quickly interject here. There's one thing more than anything that I wanted to talk about is lacking in this series.
Bricks.
No fucking bricks or bottles.
There's no bricks, dude. Not even Left Behind.
Bottles.
What is
in Left Behind? There was a brick minigame.
He stepped on a bottle. That was the only bottle we got.
Yeah, I mean,
he stepped on a bottle in the museum.
Right.
Yeah.
In like the second episode.
Oh yes, he steps on the glass
when
and then triggers
the clicker.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean that scene, like in regards to the infected, I had so much hope.
Oh my god! That there would be like that kind of tension.
The Bostonian
multiple times,
and the museum was so fucking good. Like wow. Yeah. And then it was just like, I think that was the last time that we had a decent encounter, and that was episode 2.
Also, how about speaking about the Bostonian? How about how much of that set was wasted?
Yep. Not only, do you remember the herringbone floor? I've brought this up a couple times, right? The amount of fucking labor that went into the herringbone flooring, and I don't think I saw that floor once.
Yeah.
Dude, I've actually I did not expect
a lot of that.
What's that?
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, I did not expect there to be as much of the stuff from my memory missing completely from the final cut. There, like, especially at the very end. Now that the series is all out, I can finally talk about the whole fucking newsroom and the news desk that I built at the end of, like, when we reshot a bunch of stuff for episode 1. And like it was at the very end of the production. You had already been back home or whatever, and we worked tirelessly on this whole news desk to make like a local news desk, and we had to use laminate. I learned how to make a heat tunnel and like heat an entire section of laminate to round the laminate over like a 2.5-inch bullnose like MDF corner that we made. Sick. And we did it on like multiple pieces, and it was like a huge level up in regards to working with laminate. Like and it all worked. We did it. And I remember as we were doing it, I was like, I've seen these scenic painters and what they can do, man. Like, can we not spray this MDF?
Yeah.
Like,
can we not just do a round over?
Yeah. And then
in the end, it doesn't.
Doesn't even make it to screen. So I was like, shit. I was really proud of that too, because it was like I got to do. You know, it was one of those things that, you know, by the end of the production there, like Chris was just coming over and just like handing me 3 pages and just being like, you got it? Like, let me know if you have any problems. Awesome. And I just spearheaded that whole news desk, and I was like, I can't wait. It's going to be like episode 1. I'm going to get to see it right away.
This is my scene. I made this one. And this is me.
Then episode 1.
Pretty comical, the journey of like Chris Hayne to like that. Yeah. To, like from like day 1 to like that moment of handing you those drawings, like that.
Or even just Wally, like shout out to Wally from the Vancouver unit.
Shout out to Wally.
He trusted you and I, right? He had to do that kitchen, Maria's kitchen, and there was a big kitchen. It was quite a large kitchen project to build, and he was like in his position, he's got to what's the word? Like delegate all of these pieces to all of these other carpenters in this section of the shop. And when he was getting frustrated or whatever, both you and I were like, hey, we built kitchens. Like, if you want to just let us take like some of this off your plate, like just
all the while he's half gone. He's like done. He was already packing his trailer to leave to go back to Vancouver. So
yeah, and I think he was kind of appreciative of the fact that we were just like, look, we got it. We'll do this.
Yeah.
And it turned out really great. That kitchen looked really nice in Maria's house. I thought that actually
the only thing that went wrong with it was the choice in fur panel, but that got fixed really quick.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is a huge digression on what we are here to talk about, which
Who are these fucking nerds?
How much we fucking hated this episode.
Thank you.
This was a terrible episode.
Aru. Let's talk about what we liked about the character development, kind of, because that's what a large chunk. That ideally would have been what this whole episode was about. But the sort of just the conversation between Ellie and Joel, because I got a little teary-eyed. You know, they changed up his story a little bit, talking about how he ended up, you know, trying to, I don't know what I can say, bang bang shooty, bang bang shooty himself kind of thing. You know,
the scar on his forehead or whatever.
Being the guy that missed.
Yeah, himself being the guy that missed, exactly. Yeah. So
is that adapted from the game, or is that sort of
no?
I
don't think so. No. Yeah, I don't think there was any mention of that in that part, but it was kind of a good addition. I don't think it was tasteful, like untasteful. I think it was like a good kind of opportunity for him to just basically say without saying that that Ellie saved his life, sort of, you know. So I feel like maybe they had a little less time to work with to kind of just make that obvious, right?
Yeah, I couldn't tell. There was like a brief moment there where Joel says something like, you know, like, I'm not thinking like that anymore, and like looks at Ellie, and then I felt like this weird awkward, like, all right, like a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah. I did feel that too. And even if as he got up to walk, like, you know, they were like, okay, anyways, we should keep moving.
Yeah, it was almost like friend zoned.
Glad that didn't work out for you.
Telling me, all right.
Glad that didn't work out for you.
Yeah.
It is like, me too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Well,
you're right. Well, I don't know. You're talking to a 14-year-old or something? Like, they're not going to have a lot of great life advice for you, probably. So it's like, that's probably what you would get from a kid, honestly. Cool. Well, I'm glad you're not dead. Because I'd die. I'd be dead then. That would suck.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Right. So there's a little bit it was kind of goofy a little bit, but I did feel it was heartfelt, you know, Pedro kind of just saying, you know, when I lost Sarah, you know, I lost everything and blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, you'd sort of view the world that way. And, you know, it was just a good sort of moment to show the connection between the characters that I feel like has been built, but again, has just been a little bit shortcutted. They've kind of shortcut it in ways that I kind of wish they didn't. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's the TV viewing audience that's going to be the most important.
Yeah, and right? I guess we have to keep thinking that, right? Is like when it comes to Craig and Neil making this show, they are focusing, I guess, and rightfully so. Like the amount of people that watched this series that are not vets of the game is the vast majority.
Yes,
and they did a
true.
Great job at paying a lot of service to the vets, to the people like you two.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you think about it, like we can now say, I know I said this like first episode, and I was like, I need to hold the fuck on before I start making bold proclamations like this. But this is probably one of the, and not probably, this almost definitely is like the best video game to film / whatever TV, you know, interpretation there really ever has been. I think I can't think of a single video game property that
have
comes
you
close.
Not seen Mortal Kombat?
Okay, now you're talking though. I mean, You know what's funny with Mortal Kombat the movie is it like actually influenced the way that like Mortal Kombat the game stories work. You know, they made them like super campy and super goofy like after the Mortal Kombat movies. So that kind of actually like had a weird like double effect going both ways. So actually, that's kind of funny.
Dude, that last Mortal Kombat movie
Kombat.
slapped. It was so good. Like it very much like drew the line in the sand of just like, you know, you're not taking me seriously, but they did like they did it just right enough, and it was like
I missed that one,
so
man. I missed that one.
entertaining.
Is
it was
good?
so good. I highly recommend watch it and go into it knowing that like just make sure you
The
have
trailer.
just have a good bucket of
buck.
popcorn and just enjoy it. It is fucking amazing.
Okay, that's good to know. And you know, we can also shout out, you know, some bad movies. Resident Evil, all of them.
Yep.
They're all bad. There are maybe some of them are worth watching. I watched all of them.
It's like
they're all bad, but
I'll never forget the first time when I saw Final Fantasy. The movie was coming out, and I was like,
Advent Children?
"No, I'm not talking about Advent Children." Yeah, the Spirits Within.
Yeah.
And then I went and saw it, and at the time, I think we were fresh off like Final Fantasy X, and I was just like,
Ooh.
What is this
going
connected
on?"
to?
Like,
No.
Yeah.
It's just like Square Enix makes a movie and then like didn't know what to call it, and then just decided, yo, what's our most popular brand? Oh, easy.
yeah, that'll sell tickets.
Final Fantasy. None of the other ones are related. Why should this one be? Ah, perfect. That's a solution.
We have
and then they
gone
release
so
that.
far off the rails.
You know what? Honestly, I'm on the rails right now. All right, I'm blasting lines of anger.
But wait, have you seen the Silent Hill film?
Oh god!
Now that's a good.
Yes.
That's a good one. Ish.
Yes.
Good-ish.
It was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun. I didn't
It's a
watch
fun
it until
movie.
very recently. Very
It is
fun.
a fun movie. It
Yeah.
there's you know what, I don't even want to go into it, but like Pyramid Head shouldn't be in there, obviously, you know, stuff like that. It doesn't make sense that he's there. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Angry gamers. Okay, so
All right,
whatever.
where
we'll carry
are
on.
we at
So,
in our episode critique?
unhinged to answer your question.
Yeah.
So they
quite.
were at the field hospital. They get flashbanged.
Yeah, so that kind of comes as a moment of like you're enjoying yourself. You know, nice things are happening, and in the way, you know, The Last of Us fashion, that can't happen for too long, or this show isn't. This is horribly inaccurate to source material. So
Yeah.
then immediately they're flashbanged or whatever the heck, or gassed.
Yeah, it was a thing with a
bashed.
flashbang or a concussion.
And-
There was a smoke something or other, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Either way, explosive type thing that doesn't kill you. It was lobbed and then conked in the back of the head, Joel. And then the scene where they wake him up is pretty damn close to the game and everything. It's pretty like
It's
tit for
pretty
tat for the
close.
front. Yeah.
The crucial change to that scene is him saying,
I can.
I can,
Yeah.
versus you go ahead, you keep telling yourself that.
Yeah, which is like, oh, we're gonna, yeah, and also Marlene's conviction in the effectiveness of the possibility of this vaccine / cure. She calls it a cure. instead of a vaccine, you know.
Yeah.
She has more conviction. She's selling it. This is the same damn actress too. So you know, it's not like a matter of just acting prowess or whatever. It's literally just a matter of the lines that have been given.
Yeah,
so
this
it
is
kind
the
of
only person in the series who's reprising
exact same.
the role or whatever.
Yeah, so she delivers it in a fashion which I think kind of bothers me because it implies certainty, way more certainty in the decision of you know, removing Ellie's brain, basically, right? You know, that they're a lot more confident in the show, I think, than they were in the game. And you,
About the
maybe you
results?
can back me up on this. There are some pieces you find in the game, like collectible little like readable items that indicate that they have had someone who was immune before, or in some type of ways they've done different experiments that have failed, right? So there is some like implication that like maybe that this might not. So probably this could potentially just be another experiment that didn't work, right?
Sort of like
They've-
what
trials.
They hinted it. Yeah, they hinted it. But I mostly remember it being hinted at from like Joel just talking like early on in the game, talking with Tess, like we've heard this before and stuff.
oh, I see.
But
I think there was a few little things in the hospital you could pick up that like patient number something, and it was like tried this and like results failure, right? So I actually didn't like those in the game because they also made Joel's decision less ambiguous or more ambiguous. Sorry, you know, it made it like it kind of added a little more like, well, maybe it was fine. You know, well, maybe fuck those guys. You know, find somebody else. Well, he says that even actually. That's his fucking line. Find somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what makes me kind of grumpy just about the opening is that find somebody else is a statement that is potentially logical because it could happen now. You know how it's done. So, you know, when he kills her, though, that really does cement the fact that now no one will ever know how it's done. You know, assuming that she and the doctor has been taken out too. So probably anyone who really knows how to fix that is
the coolest part.
Sorry, go ahead, Chandler.
No, you go ahead.
No. I was just going to ask, how are we treating this in terms of spoilers for part 2?
We're not going to go into anything spoily about part 2 just because we're assuming the TV viewing audience watches some of this stuff too, right? So we don't want to say what the big beginning twist is or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I guess we danced around that.
Yeah.
That's
definitely not that, but like, okay, I'll work with it.
Yeah, I know it's tough. We've wanted to say things too.
Yeah, it just if we can jump right into it, the immediately after that scene, we get Rampage, Joel.
John Wick.
Oh
Joel Wick.
It is so Rampage, dude. It is so Rampage.
It was so surreal to watch because it really was a departure. It was such a huge departure from the way it happens in the game.
He went commando. That's what it was. He turned into Arnold or like a Terminator.
It's Joel Wick.
A Terminator. Yeah, it was.
Joel
really
Wick.
Was Terminator. It was emotionless. It was.
Yeah.
We got a cold-blooded murderer. We got humanized fireflies. We got like. It was Joel has hit he snapped. It's Joel has snapped.
It was like he was mentally absent and just like God mode. Yeah. With aim assist on.
Exactly.
Yeah, he turned on his wall hacks.
Yeah. It was super weird. Versus in the game, you get a
struggle.
A guy who is a father who is terrified of losing another daughter, and who is just there. You're there and you're him and you're just like you're going through this hospital and everyone there knows that you're loose in this hospital, so they are trying to kill you,
and it's hard
against you, and it is fucking hard. It's a tough.
The show has tried to ground the realism, right, of a game and make it like more realistic. And somehow in this scene, they have made the most unrealistic Last of Us interpretation.
Yeah, that's actually a good take.
Anything. It's extremely unrealistic. It is very not grounded. And in a show that's been all about trying to sort of make things even more real and bring it to the silver screen and whatever. Now we get a weird montage with like sad music with Joel just one-shotting everybody or two-shotting, whatever, like, you know, like perfect shots, never missing. Versus when you're playing the game, you're hiding behind things. You're like throwing bottles and bricks. He's throwing everything you can at these guys. Some guys got like riot shields or whatever the heck, or something like that. They're armored up. There's like so much like tactical thought that's going into it, and it's like so much pressure, and you're like, I just gotta kill everyone now and get to my.
There's no like bum rushing of anything.
No,
in that
you're
section.
at war.
Like,
you are at war.
Saying you're in the
trenches, and they took that.
And it's so in the show it's. And this is why I asked about spoilers, is because like it kind of felt like in Take One, in other words, the game.
Yep.
They felt they were nervous about the backlash that they would get in season 2 if they did it the same way, because in the game you feel so much empathy for Joel, you feel so connected, you feel so sure of
his decision,
this decision, because of the way it's portrayed also. And I don't remember my the moral or ethical questions coming up as much when I was playing the game. For the first time, second time, 50th
You're emotionally
time,
charged, though, right? Like that's what makes it so effective.
For sure. And you also see how broken he is in that whole section. When you finally get Ellie and you're carrying her out, and that music comes in and everything else is kind of like suppressed.
Yeah.
And you're just carrying her. He's like, I got you, baby. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
Please don't get shot.
Like it's bawling.
Yeah. Was she awake?
Exactly.
Was she awake in that moment in the game?
All of that. No, she's not awake. He's just talking, and that's
soldiers
it.
are shooting him and after him, and he's running through halls carrying her. It's like it's a pretty long feeling scene, and it's actually quite short in the game, but it has like this emotional lasting impact.
Oh man,
where you've already made the decision, you've saved her, and you're like, I just have to get out of here. I'm carrying my daughter, who I hopefully am not going to have dead this time. After the beginning, very drawing these parallels, kind of. Yeah. And he's like, I don't want another dead girl in my arms right now, and that's So you really
and it's fear. You feel his fear, and I wonder if after part 2 released and there was all of that backlash and like so much like hate coming down on the game, on the developers and stuff, and it kind of felt like watching this is like they're filming this to really send the message that Joel is doing a kind of fucked up thing here,
that Joel's actions are going to have consequences.
We need you to get this, because next season it's going to be important that you get this.
Yeah,
and I think
that's a smart take.
That tracks with the fact that, again, there's no notes, there's no suggestions that they've tried this on other people, right? There's none of that. Marlene's conviction and how she says like, this is a cure, but vice versa, right? You know what I mean? Like the way her demeanor, all of that, they're really trying to sell it as like this is just a very selfish type of choice, basically, but it still adds a little bit of ethical ambiguity in the nature of Marlene saying, and she would have wanted this, and it, but as per the game, they never asked her. They could
never asked her,
but they never asked her. So if you're so fucking sure, then ask her.
They did add this in the show. They did add a little thing in that when Joel wakes up, where she was like, we didn't tell her, she didn't feel any fear, of it happening. You know what I mean? Like we just said her, like they didn't have that in the game. That was interesting.
No. Yeah. Well, in the operating room, for what? For what? They opened with that pretty much, like, for what? Why?
Yeah.
So So Marlene actually shows a little bit of her own kind of weakness in character, because he's like, she has this strong conviction about this is what Ellie would have wanted, but also herself couldn't have asked Ellie, but she's so certain of this answer. So that's kind of where the line that Joel says, you keep telling yourself that, right? That kind of has like an impact in the game, I think, as a shot at her character, which I always kind of felt like, why didn't you ask her then if you were so sure? At the end of the day, she probably would have said yes, but you don't know that. So it's not your fucking
that's interesting.
place.
That's interesting. Like, well, because like I guess the risk of her saying no, and then all of a sudden you've got a situation.
If you're saying no, then you just do it anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you, man. Like,
honestly, yeah. That's the thing, is that was probably in the first game. That was my biggest irk. Honestly, like out of everything, that's like pretty good.
Well, it
Just
was
like
to
one
show
figure.
it was to make you a little more confused as a player, because I remember the first time I beat that game, and I probably beat that game like at least 13 times. I do feel like the very first time I beat the game, I remember saying to myself like, I'm actually the bad guy in this game. I'm the bad guy, technically. Like by all accounts of the greater, moral, status of everyone in this society,
Yeah.
I just fucked over the whole planet.
But it's after,
And-
right? It's after it happens. It's like when he's lying to her in the
Yes.
end. You're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh shit.
Well, here's the funny thing. He walked into the
I didn't feel that way.
when he walks into the operating room, and this is funny because I beat this game, like I said, like a dozen times at least. I didn't even know that there were lines for the doctor or the nurses because I just shot them immediately. They didn't even get a word. And then I walked over to her. That was like every single time. It's like when I watched a different playthrough and he holds his gun out and the doctor like goes for the scalpel and shit. I was like, that guy can talk. So like I was very emotionally charged every time I did that scene. I'm like running in there full speed. I would have strangled him all to death.
I have killed that doctor in every way imaginable. I've killed that doctor so many times. I've flamethrowered him. The best way I can say right now, the best way to kill him is to walk up to him and just throw a quick jab, and he just flops to the floor dead. It's amazing.
The neck breaker punch. Oh wow!
Flops oh man, I don't even know how to explain it. It's pure ragdoll. But like in slow-mo, it's amazing.
That's funny.
That's stay tuned on March 28th when I play the PS5 remake on PC. All right, guys, twitch.tv/Seducto. I promise that'll be a punch in the face for that doctor because I have not done that.
I just find it. To my mind. I find it so funny from my perspective. I'm sitting here with two different types of Last of Us fans. There's one that just puts a bullet in that dude's teeth the second he sees him every time, and there's another that's like, I found every single way to kill this man. I will tell you all of them.
And there's like a third player out there somewhere who like holds the gun out and waits for this guy to go, oh wait, I'm stalling, and then grab a scalpel and then become a threat. Now it's self-defense. I don't know who that guy is because I went into that room. I had a fucking 8 chips off my fucking shoulder, dude. Everyone in that room was dead before I got in there, as far as I was concerned. They were dead the moment they disagreed with me, and that was their fault. So, but then afterwards, you're like, oh yeah, that was probably pretty selfish of me, but
that was pretty selfish of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was like, if you kill everyone in this room, then no one will know. That's what I was thinking, right? No one will know what to do. It'll be no use to anyone. So the nurses and everything, I'm like, I don't know. They could just be doctors in nurse outfits. Or, they might just be just as trained as him. I gotta kill them all, man. Gotta kill them all. Marlene's down there. Yeah, right? I thought he was gonna let Marlene live the first time I beat the game. I thought he was gonna let Marlene live when he just shot her in the gut and leave her. And then when he just goes, and I want to say the game delivered that line better. No. You'll only come after her. Bang! Right? Troy Baker just sent it harder. Pedro did a good job. I think he did a good. Obviously, this whole series he's been doing a pretty good job. His accent is weird, and that's never gonna get old to me. It's just not. But sometimes he tries to have an accent, sometimes he doesn't, and it's really funny to me. And I've just had to deal with it, and I've shook it off. But as soon as I heard Troy Baker's voice, I was like, "Fuck, man, this is painful." But again, I shook that off. That doesn't matter. But he didn't quite send that line as hard. But the fact that he managed to pull his gun out from underneath Ellie, and shoot her anyways or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that scene was done pretty good.
Yeah, and that's like basically tit for tat the way the game did it. The only difference being Joel added in raiders coming and killing everybody.
Oh, his description
when she was telling
to her
Ellie what happened.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, they found lots of people like you, dozens actually. They stopped looking for a cure, and then raiders came. And they killed everybody.
Yeah, you can see she's skeptical. Of course, that's
the part. That's the part that made her skeptical, which is so ironic because it's just like that's dumb. You didn't have to add that at all.
Well, and that softballs
no one's going back there.
That's like a softball in as to why she presses him at the very end there, right? Like, just be like, I need you to, and I kind of appreciate.
She had enough room.
For me, that was actually like, for me when I heard that was I found that interesting and kind of like it makes sense because that was a big loophole in the game where it's like, why are you accepting that he just pulled you out of there without so much of a goodbye? Like, it, like everything that came before leads you to believe that Ellie is somewhat attached to Marlene in the game, at least.
Yeah.
And yeah, they don't really like give you enough to make it believable.
Yeah, actually,
No, I agree. I agree. She mentions it in the show, though. She asked in particular about Marlene, if Marlene was okay, and that wasn't in the
yeah.
But yeah,
totally, yeah. But then the Raiders kind of make, to me, the Raiders part is what I felt like was a bit like, oh, okay, like that's kind of like a
cover your tracks,
decent, like a bit of a better lie than just like they are looking for a cure, they gave up,
Yeah, I didn't realize until just now.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
every time Joel tells her, like, she looks like in both the game and the show, she's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it sounds kind of wacky. I'm high on drugs, and that still sounds wrong.
I didn't realize until just now how many questions this last episode has given me in regards to. They suggest that Marlene is responsible for raising Ellie, but when you first see Ellie in the room that she's being held in, chained to the wall or whatever, Marlene walks in. They do not look like friends. So actually, I'm kind of confused.
And she doesn't know who she is at all.
No, she's asking her name, and she's lying.
Yeah.
Correct.
But then she says, then she tells her name because she knows it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which they put her into Fedra school because this is show lore. This isn't. I don't think they explain this in the game this way, but they put her into Fedra school to protect her because they would be safer than being raised in the Fireflies or whatever the heck, which raises questions about the legitimacy of the Fireflies existing. If you think that, your arch nemesis is a better place to raise your, this person who needs to survive, it just kind of raises a bit of a what? So what do you exist for then? But whatever. I don't think they earn the Marlene with Ellie connection. They never really earned that in the game or the show, really. So when she asked about it, I was like, that's kind of strange. She's like, is Marlene okay? Because at that point, you'd probably just be like, oh, everyone's dead. Okay. I've seen enough of the life at this point. You don't know what life's like out here. At this point in the show, she does. She's got an idea. It's murder. Everyone dies. That's how it goes. Everyone they've encountered died pretty much. So, you probably put 2 and 2 together. It's almost not even worth asking the Marlene question. Joel would tell you if Marlene was alive, and that would be that.
Yep.
Raiders came, killed everybody. He probably would. Marlene made it out though. You're good. So
Marlene's fine. Just trust me.
It's that source. Just trust me, bro.
Anyway, on a day like this, I just pick away my 6 string and.
I found a guitar. You want to learn how to play guitar?
Those parts were a little awkward, and in the game she's like distant mentally, and I don't know exactly what she was thinking about at that time. And I think the fact that it takes place right after the David episode, where it is, kind of a, I don't know, a bit of a problematic situation.
Problematic, yeah.
The world's horrible and everyone's evil and all this and that, and it jumps to spring and it's her in this kind of weird daze. It's kind of strange that she's in this this foggy kind of mood because it's been a while since that happened. But I guess I get the sense.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I guess I get the sense that maybe she's just thinking back to that time that it happened, or some of the stuff they've been to, but they never really get into yo, Ellie, what's on your mind beyond the post-draft scene, kind of just being like, we got to see this through and blah blah blah. You never really get quite a read on the character, why she's bogged down. And actually, in the game, I don't recall any reasoning really either. I think the giraffe scene comes out of nowhere when you're feeling the sadness. But I do feel like that whole Joel and Ellie dynamic was a little more awkward in the show, just for some reason.
You know what kind of tripped me up? You know what kind of tripped me up in the episode?
talking. Sorry, go on.
Well, I loved how he's like, oh, there's a ladder up there, I need you to go up over there and then lower that ladder to me.
The triangle prompt.
Yeah, exactly. The triangle prompt. It was one of those just like,
that's a direct reference. He literally does that in the game.
Cracking a nice can of Sprite or something, you're just like, that's, thank you for giving me that.
Old Faithful.
But then she gets to the top and she goes, and she looks over and she's like, oh my God, and then runs away and fucking throws a ladder at him. But like,
which is what happens in the game.
But I kept thinking to myself, like, she ran fucking across an entire like section of that high rise and then up a flight of stairs and then over and then they get to the giraffe, and I was like, well, then what did you see from where the ladder was? I was like, how did you see the giraffe from there?
That's a good point.
I hate thinking about that kind of stuff, man.
I didn't even think of that. You're right, though. That is a bit of a problem.
That's funny.
There's a continuity error. That's fine. Whatever. We take those.
Giraffe's got a fucking long ass neck.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude, that government drone is a very long necked type of animal.
Giraffes are government drones.
For Sterling, who may be uninitiated, I asked the bold question of what if all giraffes were actually just government drones? They'd be very effective because you could just peek right in your window.
Sorry, guys, the audio is just not coming in anymore. It's not working again.
Giraffes aren't real.
Hello?
The giraffes of us.
See, and that's Buck. See how tall that is, though? That's crazy.
Yeah, this scene here.
You'd be at like the 8th floor, and that thing could still see you.
This set was so beautiful. This was just right out in the lot next to the blue whale. And this hole in the wall was just a big piece of blue screen, right? But the set itself was, oh God, the rooftop. There was a bunch of the rooftops and everything that they were climbing on out there, and then there was this one. Yeah, this one was like really decked out in foliage. And I remember one of the days that I ran out there and I think I was working on a door, like a passage handle set on one of the doors there, and the guy was in there and he comes over and grabs me and he's just like, hey, like, can you come here, like. It was the guy I think in charge of like dressing it with all the greenery, and he was just like, how does it feel? Like, does it feel natural? Like, can you please? It's like, I've been looking at this for 10 hours, and it's just it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Like,
that guy's like, gonna say, that guy's lost the sense of what something even is. It's like when you're working on music, painting, anything. You're like, I've been doing this for so long, I no longer identify with a person who can recognize.
Yeah, that was where he was at.
Is it good?
He was like, is it good? Like, do you feel like it's natural growth? And
Did
I was
you
like,
hug him or like?
I mean, I didn't physically hug him, but I felt like that conversation was just, the hug that he needed, because I validated him. I was just like, dude, this is beautiful.
Knowing that show, it's like he was fired the next day, unfortunately. And,
his car just exploded on the way home, too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you did a great job, buddy. Sorry we got to put a car bomb on you. See ya. Oh man. So then I guess that just, leads us to the end, which, I kind of wanted there to be a waterfall just outside of Jackson. Maybe I'm asking too much. But that scene, not the waterfall, sorry, the dam, not the waterfall. The dam.
You're such a nitpicker.
I know. I listen. I liked it. It was all good. I remember literally looking over at my partner there, Chai. You guys know her. And just being like, am I greedy for wanting the dam to be there? And she's like, she just finished like seeing the game be beaten, right? And it's just like, nah, a little bit. Like a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think that's the most important detail here.
No, it's not. It's just the view of like Jackson that like I have in my head, and it's just kind of burned in there. So it seems strange, I guess. But at the same time, it was a beautiful view. It was a nice view. It kind of seems strange to have like a settlement so in a valley.
Well, notably there was a very prominent like wooden wall, like timber wall. Like, build that wall,
Yeah,
but it was fortified.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Didn't know we were going that direction with this. You gotta keep them, aliens out. You know what I mean? The zombie types.
Oh my god. Okay.
Illegal. This infected don't got a visa. Get him out of here.
Jeez. Well, Yeah. Stamp that joke.
Yeah, no, there was a big wall around Jackson in the game, anyways. As far as I remember, there's something like that at least, because Tommy had to get them let in. That whole thing was a little different. But
Well, actually, so did they go back to where Tommy was?
Yeah.
Is that where they end?
Is that not how it goes?
They go to Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, which
what
is
do you mean?
yeah, Tommy's city.
So,
the first time they visit Tommy is the same city they return to at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if in that moment they were suggesting that they went to a different place, but like I remember
That would be so dumb. Why would they do that?
Yeah, because that's where they know that they'd be safe.
Yeah, the only place they know they'd be safe, especially after murdering a bunch of dudes in a montage with sad music. God damn you.
Yeah, the music was actually I remember I felt like every time a scene was happening, I know I was preloaded with the whole why is this 43 minutes? Like I feel like
I was too.
I feel like the scene could have had like another you had 8 minutes you could have added here, you could have done it.
That scene should have been 5 times as long, and it should have also not been montage, and it should have also maybe not had goofy sad music playing over top of it, because it wasn't like a sad moment per se as much as it was just an intense emotional moment.
But again, you know what, like I knew what was going to happen, and I knew that like as it happened. So the next day or the next 2 days I checked in heavily with my people in my circle that I knew who didn't know how the game ended. Like my coworker Vince, and I remember I called my mom and talked about it, and
good, we got a mom opinion. Yeah. We wanted one of those. Oh okay.
Yeah, she was just like, I had no fucking idea that it was gonna end like that. You could tell she was fuming. She was fuming, but also like, wow, that show was good. There was the duality, right? She was holding both of them, and she had to talk about it. And it was like, I'm glad
that's what you want.
Yeah, I'm glad that first impressions were still like good.
That is the reaction that we were supposed to. That's supposed to elicit.
Kind of what I was gonna say was, it's like, like it could have been longer, but it's just like when I think of the space that, like the things that were left out, it's all gameplay. It's all everything story wise that was in that chapter in the game, they played out in the show. It was just all of the they touched on everything they had to, and like all of the gameplay stuff they turned into a montage basically, and left out an infected encounter in the tunnels or whatever. But it's like in this episode.
Okay.
But it's like when I because I'm always trying to like reel myself in and just be like, okay, like from their perspective, like they have to do it this way. And like I like, I guess it's a friend of mine said this recently. You'd never want to make, I want to say this right. I'm not going to, but I'm gonna stumble through it. You take as much time as needed and no more to tell a story.
Right.
Like you don't, like if you like, you need to get something across, do it in like as much time as needed, no more, no less. And I think they landed within those boundaries. Well enough that like I'm okay with it. And again, I think there's so much bias, even though I'm trying every time I watch an episode, I'm trying to just like reel in the bias, like, and turn off so much. Like it's even down to like Ellie, like to Bella Ramsey. I think she's a phenomenal actress, but like, she's not Ellie. Like to me, it's again, I'm like turning it out. analog. Like this is not.
You have
it's
to kind of create a box for
and,
yourself in isolation for your enjoyment of the show. You can't, that's kind of why we do this, is to sort of just bounce ideas off each other and just kind of get like a gauge on what, if we think it translated well or not, right?
Yeah,
I like what you said about that, because The Walking Dead is like they basically inverse Walking Dead season 2 this, where it's like season 2, like the Walking Dead, the barn segment, where it was like a whole fucking season, took so long. It just felt like it was such a waste of time, because in the comic it's like less than a comic's worth of material, that barn part, but they made hours of TV out of it, and that was miserable. That actually killed off like half their viewership.
Yeah.
And that's legendary. It's one of the worst moments in TV. So they kind of pulled, like you said, they did the exact kind of opposite of that, and they kind of chopped as much as they could and kept the what would be the meat, but I guess, as the gaming audience, we kind of know that it goes well together with some potatoes, It's like,
I mean, now that we're talking
meat
about
is the good part.
now that we're talking about trimming the fat, we can really get into what we wanted to talk about this whole time, with just Naruto. Like talking about something going on a little too long.
What? Okay, let's go. Let's talk about One Piece. We are now a One Piece podcast. Since this season is over, we're gonna watch every episode. Stay tuned for the next 1,056 weeks.
I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. I might just be dead before that happens. Who knows? It's never finish it. Yeah, no, I like that too, and I just like you did. I kind of looked up, trying to sort of see the television viewing audience or whatever, right? I wanted to see what they thought, because of course I knew going into this that I'm going to be biased about it, and I knew I guess I am frustrated from my point of view, but I do, just like you, Sterling, I kind of hold the 2 points of view in my head, and they kind of just battle over each other over like, what I think is, what I think needed to be there and what I think didn't.
Well, you know what? I personally, as the one least connected to this series, I commend you both. I think you handled your emotions very well, because and also that lends to it lends to a bit of a shout out to HBO and the production and the series itself. They did it in a manner that people as invested as you two are not, like on their doorstep with a 12 gauge, like being like, you don't fuck with my baby.
I don't tend to be that guy in general, all right? I do get mad. The EA canceled Dead Space after Dead Space 3. I was fucking pissed, wasn't sending death threats or anything, but I was like, fuck this company, dude. I hate these guys, you know what I mean? If there's a comment section to be had, I'd be on there chatting shit, So Last of Us 2 came out. It was very divisive. I think it was a vocal minority that hated the shit out of it, and that kind of painted the whole game, and I don't get that. I think that game's awesome.
Yep.
I think that game's difficult, and I think that's the fucking point. It's like emotionally difficult, and that's kind of the idea, is they wanted to sort of ramp it up into sort of, this is what you guys will see in season 2 and season 3 is more and more increasing difficulty in emotion and complexity, and I like that. There is a little bit of goofiness in the second part, where it's like the thematicness across the first game is very obvious. It's about just like reforging connections and reopening back up. In a cold dead world, exactly, trust, right? And then kind of part 2 is it's like revenge is bad. Revenge is bad. Revenge is bad. Every time anything happens, revenge is bad. Can you believe it? Revenge is bad. And that's the only part that I felt about part 2. I was like, God damn it. Yeah, we know. Like, they're like, did you guys know about our subtle message? We're like, yeah, I picked it up. But like the moment this game started, I understood it.
Yeah, I recall there's like, in watching you play the second game on Twitch, I recall there's a moment, where like you feel like the game could be over, and Ellie just can't let it go, and like Dina's just like, why? We could just live here, we could just have a life here, and then she wakes up and Ellie's gone, and it's like
whispering, revenge is bad.
Yeah, like
revenge is bad.
Just can't let it go. So look forward to season 2 of The Last of Us. Is gonna make you mad and happy and sad.
I hope it doesn't make everyone mad. I hope the TV audience is less horrible. I mean, I honestly,
it's the same audience.
Episode 3. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I don't know. Gamers are the worst, honestly.
Yeah.
But I as with we saw with episode 3, like some of those comment threads are just unfucking bearable.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I do think that episode 3 was really, really good. I do think it's kind of strange now, like looking back, that they didn't flush, like not flush out. Yeah, flush out. Is that the right word? They didn't fill out sort of as much context and texture to this finale that they could have.
Yeah.
And then like we have an hour and a half episode about Bill and Frank, which is kind of strange.
Which was a 2 hour 10-minute episode cut down.
Oh, there you go. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was
so
over 2 hours original, and then they had to cut it.
That's the kind of shit that rubs me the wrong way a little bit, and it's not. Obviously, it's not because I didn't like that episode. Because I think it's probably one of our highest rated episodes on this podcast. It's just that it's strange in context of the whole part of the story that just lends to a little bit of my like frustration with this ending.
Yeah, I'm curious.
It just feels like the ending was rushed when they took so much more time at the beginning. And it's like, why now? Why choose to speed run this last episode?
Well, I'm curious to relate back to what Sterling said about like not telling more than you need to. I'm wondering if in regards to Neil and Craig, if that was a strategic move, if making like a short and sweet dump the mag kind of finale was a strategic, like we want to like I can only imagine what it's like to be in their shoes and to be responsible for pacing, like to be a director and to be a writer and to be responsible for pacing. I can imagine how much of that real estate in your mind every second takes up that's on screen.
They have a very strange pacing for this show also, I'd like to point out. It is very one very strong episode, one kind of like a little weaker, but like, but plot building necessary, but like, you know what I mean? It like a little more middling, and it dips and then it goes right back up and it dips, and it's kind of weird. It's very on and off in that way. That then the last episode was such a banger that it felt strange to have this one as a follow up.
Yeah,
it kind of feels
also,
like
I think the difference is the inconsistency in like, or just the fact that there is not a consistent director throughout the entire.
I checked the credits on season. That. Yes, and that's a common thing in TV, right?
Yeah. They got really good, like pretty goated directors to like come on. But you definitely feel, I guess it's not that like there's, directors that are lacking. It's just, I think each director's brought something different to the table. I guess. And so you don't get a consistent vibe throughout. Yeah, I don't know, but I do agree that the pacing was weird. It was like
you'd have a water cooler talk every 2 weeks. Kind of felt like you had something you really wanted to talk about with everyone you saw. Like every second episode, it was like felt really meaningful.
And again, it just comes back to like the bias and like every episode, I'm just like, is this show good? It's good, right?
And it's worth noting, not every minute of this game is good. There are parts of this game that are boring. There are boring parts of this game. In fact, the first time I played it, I got about close to what I call the Coliseum or whatever. And I remember I was kind of bored. I hadn't got my like head around the gameplay loop. I've just been so excited for this game pre-release. And I was just like, this is kind of like a long build-up story, and I liked the intro, but it's kind of, we're just walking around doing whatever now. I'm like, And I remember, I think it was like a month or two, and I picked it up again, and it's like, now it's like, now it's a favorite game. It's just, just the Firefly tattoo over here. I don't know if we can show that. There you go. Got that bad boy.
Guns hardly fit in the frame.
So like obviously that was the game's not perfect. I just think that like the story borderline is in terms of like storytelling wise, like what we'd seen in gaming, especially at that time. This is a PS3 era game, 10 years old. This is storytelling simply had not achieved this like level in gaming, and I might argue that like it still hasn't really been surpassed in a lot of ways. There's not really something that's left me like questioning of my decisions, and I guess like there's things like The Witcher. The Witcher did a really good job. That's a pretty good like evolution, but again, that's kind of a choose your own adventure, so it's a different angle, it's a different take, right? But I do find that was a game that had me kind of questioning some of the decisions I made, and I'd be like, oh fuck, I got the bad ending, dude, what? No. Trying to think back to every moment I did, and I'm like, what did I do wrong?
I mean,
so
this is an opportunity to bring up the critically
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, the critically acclaimed.
There you go.
Red Dead
There you
Redemption
go.
2.
That's a really good story. The gameplay in that game is so weird. I personally can't handle that game because it's so sluggish.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just it's
the
so
GTA
it just
movement.
feels like it feels like there's like an input delay on everything I do. Versus like if I play The Last of Us, I hit left, right, or forward, pushing buttons. Everything happens so quick.
Part one, yes. Part one, yes.
I'm sure
has that sluggishness.
I'm sure you guys have
more...
seen that like the TikToks of like the dudes that are doing like the GTA movement, and like like somebody following them with the camera, like exactly how it is in GTA. And like when you watch an actual human move like the characters move in GTA 5, it's like, oh my god, like you remember all of the pain of trying to move your character. Like it's just the input delay is crazy.
It's jank. Red Dead still has like a heavy reliance on like auto aim unless you play on PC. It's a very old school like style of gameplay, but then like on top of like one of the best stories there is. So when we're talking about like whole packages here, I don't think anything really like Witcher had the same problem. It was kind of curmudgeonly in the way that it handled as well. The gameplay was a little sloppy, but fun nonetheless. But at the end of the day, like the game that had the most like I went through the game just punching everyone pretty much. I grounded, turn off your reticle, and you find like 6 bullets the whole fucking game, and you just punch everything to death. And that's like I had a blast doing that. Yeah, I died a million times. It was fun. I like walked into a room and I'm like, there's like one clicker I can dance around, and there's like 15 runners just gonna punch every single runner because I'm so good at it at this point that and I love that. And so like the gameplay's so tight, and so then the story being like actually the most important part is makes it just like the most fantastic game. That's why I think it's one of my favorite games of all time, is because I think it just hits across the board. There's just like sort of like what you said about exactly what you need to have and no more, and that's exactly what it is, really, right? Not every moment is perfect, but it really has everything it needs to be an experience that I think most people could enjoy. If you put that game on easy and you suck at video games, you probably still get through it. You'd probably still really enjoy it. You'd be compelled, I think, honestly. So
yeah, it lends itself pretty well to a game that you play on easy so that you can do the story. Like there's a lot of gamers, there's a lot of a large percentage of the people that buy a game would just like to casually cruise control through and do the story. They don't want to be like really challenged by the mechanics. Like you,
it's not
like you two.
yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, that's fair. But you love something so much you want to see all parts of it, right? I've never played the game on easy, but that's because I'm pretty good. Not to toot my own horn, I feel like I would cream the game way too easily. It would be too simple. I need to get my ass kicked every once in a while and be really angry and frustrated.
Actually, on that note,
I feel like I got my money's worth.
On that note, I want to make a special request. I would love to watch both of you play Alien Isolation on the hardest difficulty.
Okay. I have played that game about like a quarter of the way in, and I am as soon as the androids like come out, the game starts getting real hard for me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's like that game is like the Coliseum moment, the toppled tower moment, where I'm just like, fucking, I hate these guys. And I did play it on the hardest difficulty because you know me, and that's what I do every time I play a game. And a lot of games I don't make it past a certain point because I'm just like, yo, fuck this.
Did you know that you can play it in VR and the microphone on the headset is tied to like in the game, so you have to shut your mouth if the alien is anywhere near. If you make a sound, it'll actually like trigger a response.
Is this an official
VR it's a slightly janky VR port. So the only unfortunate thing is because it's not made for VR, it's a little bit weird, like the way that the gun is in front of you or whatever, or like whatever you're holding. But yeah, I'll
do that.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that.
I got a Quest 2 over here. I'll hook it up to my PC. Yeah, I just recently bought like a dedicated router for it so I can stream wirelessly to my Quest without it being a laggy piece of shit. So yeah, I was thinking of playing GTA 5 or Red Dead in like VR, but that actually sounds like more fun because I like spooky shit. And I also like things that are unreasonably difficult. So yeah, if you can't tell, Tanner's a big fan of the Alien series and phallic-shaped objects, especially when they're from space. And also, I'd like to say, The Expanse, for those of you who are listening and didn't know anything about it, is a fucking wicked show. And it was a wicked show. I don't believe it goes on anymore. I think it's. No.
Okay, we gotta get Sterling on for an entirely different series of interviews. Because this man built the fucking Rocinante itself. Like,
yeah, and so that's why I wanted to give a little credit here because I know we brought up The Expanse earlier, and we never really mentioned kind of what that was. It's a very fucking good sci-fi show, one of the best sci-fi shows I've seen probably in I don't know, the last 10, 20 years. So
yeah, and from what I've heard, or at least from what you've told me behind closed doors, there is more story of some kind coming, correct?
It's I
mean there's 2 more books to cover that never got touched on, so
I hate that I'm always that guy. Why am I always that guy? Dude, if I knew that was a book, I'd have read it. Oh my god, I'm a moron. So yeah, that makes sense. That's why it's so good. That's why the fucking story is so good. Honestly, TV writers that just write TV can't do anything, I don't think. Yeah. I don't think they can write anything unless it's comedy. Like, I swear to God, it needs to be based on something for it to, have like some quality and some merit, some grit. This is nowadays. I don't want to discredit, any of that. All the shows I can think of right now, though, I'm Breaking Bad. There you go. All right, I'm wrong.
Oh, actually, that kind of reminds me, Sterling.
Talk myself off that ledge.
Do you want to shout out what you've been working on, or are you able to do that? Like, because you have been working on a different sci-fi series, correct? Is that out, or is that something you can speak to?
So we got to catch up properly. Yeah. I have left film.
Oh, no way. Interesting.
Yeah. I took I was on a different sci-fi show called Beacon 23.
Right. That was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, that's like right when I got back into Toronto, I started on that, and then things slowed down with that, and I jumped onto some random show. It was a really far drive from home. It was super annoying. I didn't really like the people I was working with, and
Toronto driving.
It was whatever, but it was it was a paycheck for a bit, and then I got a call from my buddy Joachim, who had just gotten this contract from Cadillac to build 2 mobile showrooms for their new EV.
Oh, cool.
That'd be cool.
So he was in the design stages of that still, and it needed to happen now. Basically the building needed to happen as he was still designing it. And this thing had crazy hydraulics. It fits onto his flatbed, and then it the sides, it clamshells onto each other, and then hydraulics push the sides out, floors fold down, legs shoot down onto the ground, lift itself off the fucking flatbed drives away, and then it lowers itself down onto the ground.
Wow.
And doors open for you to come in.
Transformer noises right now.
Yeah, seriously, it was crazy.
Optimus Prime.
We built 2 of these in essentially 2 months.
Whoa, that sounds like a huge undertaking.
It was brutal, but also, exciting and, sort of fun. It wasn't fun until afterwards.
As most things are.
Done, it was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun in hindsight. Yeah. It was 20. I think there were some 22-hour days in there. It was, some of it was brutal, but anyways, that's when you're not in a union and you're just just get it done. This is you're making a name for yourself or something. I don't know, which was what this company was doing. So, anyways, after all that was said and done, I got a job offer from them and have been I've been going with them ever since, and we just kind of build weird shit, kind of film adjacent, like building,
so fancy carpentry
stuff,
still, you know.
Yeah, that almost sounds like special effects adjacent too, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Cool. That sounds rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan. That's what. So you won't be back for season 2 then?
Oh, well, season 2, yeah, I mean, he's out in Toronto, so I imagine you don't want to chase that out here, right? I'm sure. What are your thoughts on chasing season 1?
Want to move again, you know? I don't even, honestly, I don't even know. Are they going to film season 2 in Calgary? Because it kind of takes place in a different sort of climate. Thank you. There you go. Yes,
yeah, actually,
climate,
I don't
very
know.
much so.
I don't know if I should speak to what I
can think
know.
I could think of a city or a province right next to ours that would be a better pick to represent somewhere in Washington.
I'll just say that from what I've been brought up to spec on is that if I want to work on season 2, it's only going to be the first third, unless I want to go to the ocean.
My question. That answers my question.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Okay. Well, let's review it. Let's review it, guys. Let's review this episode. What did you guys think? You want to give it a number?
Oh, like rate it? Yeah.
You bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a rating, I'll start. I guess I want people to know that I'm, well, you know what? I'm not biased because of my knowledge of how the game was, because I wasn't super knowledgeable about exactly how the game played out those scenes, but I was knowledgeable of the key story points. And I feel like my bias of like being like, how are they going to do this properly in 43 minutes affected my opinion as I was watching. So I felt like it was rushed. I don't know if my opinion is correct. I still feel like the episode was probably a 7 for me.
It was a 7 for you.
Yeah, because it wasn't overly bad. It just felt like they didn't like the whole Joel Wick part. It did feel a little bit
knocks
expedited.
Like 2 points down.
Yeah, dude, maybe a 6.
That knocks a lot off.
It felt expedited there.
I'm going to tell you where I'm at. I'm at a 6.
Okay.
So, because I was saying 7 until you said 7, then I went to 6 because I don't think I liked it as much as you. So,
okay. Fair enough.
So I'm sitting at 6. I honestly, it's just a culmination of a few things for sure. That's my gamer take. You know what I mean? As if I was viewing this in isolation as just a television show, I would probably be a lot more compelled by this. I'd give it like an 8 or something, maybe 7.5. I thought, there's cool, compelling story components happening here. It's a good piece of content. It's just there is a lot to live up to, and even within the series itself, even like the show itself, that I don't think like there's heights that the show has hit already that the finale should have hit harder, because that's how the game works. You know what I mean? That's the hardest hitting part of the game is the ending. My personal opinion. So I don't feel like they hit even as hard as the last episode did. Right.
Yeah.
So I have to score it lower. I have to kind of look at my gamer brain and kind of also look at how much of a smash hit it was in that regard. So I want to give it like a 6. Like I think it's passable, it's good. I think in a vacuum, it's probably like an 8. It's better than all of Game of Thrones final season. I'll tell you that much. All of those episodes combined at their best is better than every single one of those episodes. So HBO, you didn't fuck it up that bad. I'll tell you that much. I'm not like writing an angry letter at you. So Sterling, your turn.
I'd say I'd have to agree, but I'm just gonna put a little TLOU 2 twist on it and give you a Dina reference and go. I give it a 6.
Yeah. Oh man. Hopefully we get, we're getting lots of dialogue that's from the game in the show, from cutscene moments. So maybe if they stay true to that sort of translation type thing, you may get to see that exact quote. Who knows? I don't know. Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can smoke. You can smoke weed on TV, right? That's loud, right?
Oh, you can do anything on TV.
I don't know about that. Why did I get arrested last week for going nude in front of a cameraman? I don't know. You know, that's.
Wait, what?
No,
Wait, you talking about the? Wait, no, there was something that happened. Was it the Grammys or something? Someone ran up with topless on stage. Avril Lavigne was on stage. It was like a
way to steal
like a
Avril
protest.
Lavigne.
Yeah.
Lavigne was topless on stage.
I heard Avril Lavigne topless on stage for a moment. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Did you know Avril Lavigne has Lyme disease?
Oh,
Lyme
really?
disease? Got it from a tick. Yeah, and then she married Chad Kroeger. So it kind of makes a lot of sense.
Oh.
Just saying, neurodegenerative, and you end up with the guy from Nickelback. It's kind of just like how she goes, you know. But I hope you're doing better, Avril. I know you guys aren't together anymore, so you know, shout out to you if you're single. I'm not actually, really. So it's kind of a pointless shout out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the podcast, Avril Lavigne. I love you.
Oh my God! All right, I think that's where we got to trail into the ending. That's our show, boys. We're closing.
Play me off, everyone.
We're closing in on 2 hours, and we're starting to offend people. So let's bury it. I guess for the whole series, I would like to continue doing episodes with. Yeah. Like, I feel like there's still so much to talk about the. I mean, even with the other people that I worked with, and even like, I feel like I could do 3 more, 4 more, 5 more episodes with you, Sterling. So, if you're willing,
probably, yeah. There's definitely some stuff that I would love to talk about past episodes, but yes, I'm absolutely willing.
Yeah, but it's got to be what, midnight over there for you, or
it is. Yeah, it's 12:30.
Yeah, it's 12:30. So it's 10:30 here for us, and I'm starting to gas, as it is. Yeah, but. Is there anything?
I'm gonna die.
Is there anything?
I'm at the point where I am a water balloon that has been filled up to the point where you're not sure it's gonna explode in your hands or on the kid you're about to throw it at. So,
is there anything that you guys want to say in closing?
Or... I love you, The Last of Us, Neil Druckmann. You know, you did a great job. Sorry about the guy who also directed the first game that didn't get Bruce Straley or whatever your name is. That you didn't get any credit. Sorry. Here's your credit. You know, good job, buddy. Good job, Naughty Dog. Get Last of Us Factions out fucking tomorrow, or I'm gonna be mad. I've been waiting for so long now. I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of it. Tired of your excuses. It's supposed to come with The Last of Us 2, and it's not out yet. Are you joking me, dude? Hurry up.
Wow,
don't make it free to play.
Called out.
Yeah, dude. The Last of Us. That's like the most undersung part of the game that's like actually so fantastic. The multiplayer is so good. It is so fun, and it is so overlooked. It drives me absolutely nuts. And they're talking about bigger, better, unbelievable, a sequel to the first one's multiplayer, and it's not even out. We haven't even seen gameplay. Just fucking work more, work harder. Wow. I'm sorry.
It sounds like it's been thrown in the garbage, buddy.
Damn.
No, man. They just recently said they're like big updates this year. It should be out.
All right.
So. Fingers fucking crossed. Follow me at twitch.tv/seductro. Gene over here is going to have some whatever direction he's in. How did I get that wrong both times? If I point...
other way.
Point. Yeah, hold on. There you go. Got a magic project coming up soon. We'll probably honestly keep doing episodes of some sort. So just, keep tuning in. I don't know what it is we're going to do, but we're going to... We have ground to cover. Sterling, it's been a fucking joy to have you on here. Anything you'd like to pimp while you're...
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug?
Check out The Expanse.
Yeah.
Oh God. No. Just thank you so much for having me. Thank you for like having this little podcast. Has been so great to just like watch you guys have it out, like, and specifically like Tanner being like coming from this kind of niche perspective of like not being like a hardcore fan, but having worked on it and like in like, and just in that, like having kind of like grown into this like meta fan.
Yeah,
it's been really cool.
It's a fun dynamic. It's a fun dynamic, and I like having you on because I can ask things if I think I remember something in the game. You honestly play it so many times, you just start to forget things. You just kind of all blurs together, right? As like what happens when, what. It's been nice to be able to just like bounce the things I think I remember off you and be like, "Am I making this up?" Like,
yeah.
That's been a pleasure because I've said some things that are incorrect previously, and every time I'm like kicking myself for it. Like the next day awake, I'm like, "That wasn't true."
Yeah, you're basically at the point where the game is giving you Stockholm syndrome, and you're just believing whatever the hell keeps you around.
yeah, pretty much. Sure, yeah. Why not? Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we love you, and we kiss your homies on the lips. Good night, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, be careful what mushrooms you eat, and we'll see you on whatever episodes follow this. See you later.